The Cruise That Never Came Back, The Promise 19442024. Lorraine Elizabeth Harper was born on March 14, 1944. In the middle of a thunderstorm that knocked out power to half of Guilford County, the midwife told her mother, "This one's going to live loud." She did. She grew up in a shotgun house beside the cotton mill, married Tom Harper at 19, because he could two-step and because he looked at her like the world started and ended in her eyes. They buried their middle child, Laura, at 11 days old in 1971 and never spoke of it again, except in the quiet way married people do by leaving one chair empty at the table every Thanksgiving. Lorraine worked the switchboard at Southern Bell for 39 years, plugging and unplugging cords while the world switched to touchtones and then to cell phones. She could connect Greensboro to Tokyo in 4 seconds flat and still have time to ask after your mama. When the company offered early retirement in 2003, she took it, cashed the lump sum, and on Tom's quiet advice put every dime into a Vanguard account and never touched it again. Tom died on September 18, 2001. 1 week after the towers, heart attack in the hardware store aisle holding a can of Dextane he never got to use. Lorraine wore black for a year, then navy, then the soft colors she liked. She kept working part-time at the public library until she was 75 because retirement is just a long word for invisible. And every single year, from the time the kids were small until the grandkids were teenagers, she said the same thing when the travel channels came on. "One day I'd love to take one of those round-the-world cruises. Wake up every morning and the view is brand new." Silly, I know. The children turned it into a running family joke. "Don't worry, Mama. When you hit 80 we're sending you on the big one. You'll be gone so long you'll come back." Speaking Penguin. They laughed. She laughed with them. It became scripture. The 80th birthday March 14, 2020 for Kevin's house. South's Park, Charlotte. The dining room smelled of honey-baked ham and the particular smugness of people who have never wanted for anything. Lorraine arrived wearing the dress she had bought in 2019 on clearance at Belk Pale Aqua Silk Shanting, with tiny seed pearls at the neckline. She had saved it, tag still on, for the cruise photos. Melissa, 48, 3rd grade teacher, Instagram perfect. Handed her mother a thick silver envelope tied with satin ribbon. Open it in front of everyone. "Mama, we have been planning this forever." Lorraine's hands shook the way they hadn't since Tom's funeral. She slid a fingernail under the flap. Inside, a Hallmark card with a cartoon cruise ship vomiting confetti. Handwritten message in purple gel pen. "To the best mom and grandma on the planet here. A little something to get you started on that dream trip we always promised. We love you bigger than all the oceans, Kevin, Missy, Jen, Mark, and the 8. Granbo Bia Sox." Inside was a Visa gift card. $50. $50. The same gift card they slipped the pool guy at Christmas. The room erupted in applause and camera flashes. Kevin was already narrating for his phone. "Look at Grandma's face. Priceless." Lorraine felt every one of her 80 years settle on her shoulders like wet wool. She forced the smile they expected. The one that said thank you for the thought. "Thank you, babies, this is real sweet." Later, locked in the nautical-themed powder room, she sat on the closed toilet lid and cried so hard the monogrammed towels shook. When she came out her mascara was perfect again. Nobody noticed. The safe that night she drove home through Charlotte's glowing arteries, past the house where Tom had kissed her under the mistletoe in 1965, past the hospital where Laura had taken 11 breaths, past the Belk where the aquadress had waited 5 years for a voyage that would never come. She poured 2 fingers of Makers, mark her once-a-decade, drink and opened the hallway closet nobody ever opened anymore. Behind 30 years of Christmas decorations sat the fireproof safe the color of gunmetal, combination 8-14-63. Inside, Vanguard statements showing $1,924,617.43 Ally high-yield savings, $438,200.11 Manila folder labeled Asheville condo bought cash 2016, rented ever since, $2,950 a month like clockwork. Southern Bell pension stubs, $4,180 monthly direct deposit nobody knew still existed. A single post-it in Tom's handwriting. "Compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. Let it work, darlin'." She closed the safe, finished the bourbon, and felt something inside her chest click like a seatbelt fastening right before takeoff. The decision. The next morning she called for cruise lines before breakfast. By noon she was sitting across from a Royal Caribbean specialist named Tyler who kept blinking at the black Amex, she slid across the desk like it might bite him. I want the longest consecutive cruise on the planet. Suite with the biggest balcony you have. Pay in full. Today. Tyler swallowed. Ma'am. The ultimate world cruise on Serenade of the Seas departs. Miami, December 10th, 2024. 274 nights. 65 countries. 150 ports. 11 great wonders of the world. The Grand Suite with the 400 square foot balcony is $214,000 all-inclusive after the onboard credit. Lorraine didn't blink. Book it and throw in every package you've got. I'm not coming back for a very long time. She signed the contract with the same pen she had used to sign report cards, mortgage papers, and the guest book at Tom's funeral. The dismantling. April-November 2024, spring and summer passed in a quiet, methodical hurricane. April. House listed with a realtor who cried when Lorraine told her the gardenias were originals planted in 1973. May 28th. Full price cash offer from a young couple expecting their first baby. Closing June 30th. June. Everything sold, donated, or shredded. The aqua dress went into a garment bag for formal nights. Tom's captain's hat went into a round hat box. 3 suitcases total. July. New will. Everything to charity except $50,000 college trusts per grandchild accessible at age 25 only after 1 handwritten letter per year with 0 mention of money. Contest clause. $1 and the $50 Visa gift card. Laminated. August. Phone number ported to a Google Voice that forwarded to Dev Null. Facebook deleted. Email auto-reply. I am out of the country indefinitely. September-November. Silence. The children noticed nothing. Kevin was coaching travel ball. Melissa was deep in lesson plans and Botox. They assumed mom was just puttering like always. The first postcards December 9, 2002 for Lorraine, mailed for identical postcards from Miami International, then crushed her iPhone under her heel in the ladies' room and dropped the pieces in 3 separate trash cans. December 10th, Miami used your generous birthday gift to buy a very nice lobster roll at the airport. The rest I'm spending on myself. Don't worry, I finally got that cruise. Love from the Lido deck. Mom December 24 Aruba danced with a man named Diego, who says, I move like water. The water here is warmer than any hug I ever got on my 80th. Merry Christmas from table. 19. January 18th. Antarctica saw penguins slide on their bellies like children on snow days. Thought of you all. Realized some things are better left on ice. February 14th. Valparaiso'd empanadas from a street cart and didn't worry if they were glue. Happy Valentine's Day to the family who taught me love can be conditional. The panic back home. By February the postcards were no longer funny. Kevin's calls went straight to number no longer in service. Melissa drove to the old house for sale sign. Lockbox. New owners painting the nursery mint green. They filed a missing person report. The detective came back with a shrug and a printout. Subject liquidated assets legally. Forwarded mail to Royal Caribbean Corporate. Left note with attorney saying she is safe and unreachable by choice. Melissa screamed in the police parking lot. Part 8. The voyage months 1 to 9. Loren's new life unfolded in slow, glorious increments. Month 1. She claimed the corner balcony table at the Compass Rose Cafe every morning and read a paperback while the world slid by. Month 2. Table 19 formed 8 widows, widowers, and divorcees who decided blood was not the only family that mattered. Month 3. She ziplined in Costa Rica at 81. The guide asked if she wanted the senior discount. She laughed so hard she almost fell out of the harness. Month 4. Easter Island at sunrise. She pressed her palm to a moe and whispered, You and I both stood here long after the people who made us forgot we existed. Month 5. French Polynesia. She got her first tattoo coordinates on her left wrist where she had scattered Tom's ashes years earlier. Month 6. Her 81st birthday. The ship threw her a deck party. The captain himself cut the cake. She danced until 3 a.m. with a retired Australian firefighter named Ian, who kissed her under paper lanterns and didn't ask about money once. Part 9. The lawyer's email June 2025, day 180. Somewhere off Madagascar from Charles T. Reynolds, Esq. 2. Kevin Harper. Melissa Harper Lewis. Subject. Your mother is alive and well, Mrs. Lorraine Harper has instructed me to inform you she is in excellent health and has no intention of returning to the continental United States. All prior financial support has ceased permanently. Her estate has been revised. Please find attached, redacted copy. She sends her love and suggests you enjoy the life you described as so busy. Attached photo. Lorraine on the top deck at sunset. Arms spread like wings, red silk scarf, flying, laughing so hard her eyes are shut. Kevin punched a hole in his drywall. Melissa aged 10 years in one afternoon. Title: The Cruise That Never Came Back Part 2. The Woman Who Refused to Dock Exact 10,000 Words. Age: Key Kahan. Year 2028. Lorraine is 84. The Serenade of the Seas had become her permanent address. Royal Caribbean had quietly retired the phrase extended guest and started calling her Resident 1572. The crew changed every 9-month contract, but the stories about Captain Lorraine stayed the same in every crew mess from Manila to Marseille. She has a tattoo in 7 languages, one for each continent she fell in love on. She once made the captain cry by singing Unchained Melody on karaoke night, because she dedicated it to a man who died 27 years ago and still looked at her like he was in the front row. Ian, the Australian firefighter, had moved into the Grand Suite 6 months after Norway. He was 78, still had all his hair silver, thick and infuriating, and called her Skip because only the captain outranked her now. They never married. They didn't need a piece of paper when the ocean was already their witness. Year 2029. The letter that should never have arrived. One morning in Cape Town, a white envelope slid under the cabin door. Real paper, real wax seal. Lorraine's full name typed in courier font. Inside, a single sheet. Dear Mrs. Harper, my name is Emma Harper. I am 16. You are my grandmother. My mother Melissa will kill me if she finds this letter, but I have been saving for 2 years. I have $11,347 from babysitting, birthday money, and selling my clarinet. I bought a 37-day segment ticket on your ship. I board in Dubai in 9 days. I just want to meet the woman in the postcards. Please don't tell anyone I'm coming. Love. Emma. Lorraine read it 7 times. Then she cried so hard Ian thought someone had died. Dubai. 9 days later. Emma stepped onto the gangway clutching a backpack and the terrified grin of a kid who had just run away from home with permission from no one. She was tall, freckled, with Melissa's red hair and Kevin's stubborn chin. When she spotted Lorraine waiting at the rail in the red captain's hat, she burst into tears and ran. They hugged for a full 5 minutes, while passengers streamed around them like water around a rock. That night at Table 19, now Table 19-1, Emma sat between Lorraine and Ian and answered every question the old pirates fired at her. Yes, her parents were furious. No, they didn't know exactly where she was. Yes, she had forged the parental consent, formed the cruise line, never checked that hard for a 16-year-old traveling with her grandmother. Lorraine looked at the girl who had spent 2 years saving to buy 37 days with a woman her family had erased, and something inside her chest cracked open like sunrise. The 37 days Ma learned to play lost $20 in the casino, gained 5 pounds on midnight pizza, and heard stories her mother had never told her. How Lorraine once hid in a closet for 3 hours so baby Melissa wouldn't see her cry after Tom's first heart scare. How Kevin broke his arm at 6 and Lorraine carried him 2 miles to the hospital because the car wouldn't start. How they buried little Laura under the dogwood tree and never moved the marker. Every night Emma fell asleep on the balcony couch under Ian's old fire department jacket while Lorraine and Ian slow danced to songs from 1965. On day 36, Emma asked the question Lorraine had been dreading. Will you ever come home, Grandma? Lorraine looked at the black water sliding past and answered honestly, Sweetheart, this is home. The land one stopped fitting a long time ago. Emma cried. Lorraine held her until the tears dried into salt on both their cheeks. The confrontation. Emma went back to Charlotte when her segment ended. She had promised nothing, but teenagers are terrible liars when they love someone. 3 months later, the entire Harper clan showed up in Barcelona with lawyers, tears, and a court order claiming Lorraine was cognitively impaired and needed to be brought home for her own safety. They cornered her in the schooner bar. Melissa led the charge, Botox cracking with emotion. Kevin waved papers. Jen and Mark hovered like bouncers. Mom, this has gone far enough. You've made your point. We get it. We were awful. Now come home. Lorraine was 86, tanned like tick, wearing a linen suit the color of the Mediterranean at noon. Ian stood behind her left shoulder like a very calm bodyguard. She smiled the way hurricanes smile. Children, I am home. My mail comes to this ship. My doctor is the ship's doctor. My lawyer is on speed dial in Miami. And my family is the people who show up because they want to, not because I pay for their vacations. Melissa tried tears. We're scared you'll die out here alone. Lorraine laughed so hard the piano player stopped mid-song. Alone? I have danced with more people in the last 5 years than you have friends on Facebook. I have godchildren in 12 countries. I have a waiting list for my dinner table. And I have Ian, who has never once asked me for a down payment on anything. Kevin tried anger. You can't just abandon your grandchildren. Lorraine's voice dropped to the tone that used to make switchboard supervisors tremble. I didn't abandon anyone. I stopped financing people who treated me like an ATM with wrinkles. One of them saved for 2 years to buy 37 days with me. The rest of you couldn't be bothered to buy a $50 ticket you promised for 20 years. Math is math. Security arrived. The captain himself escorted the family off the ship. Lorraine never raised her voice once. That night she and Ian stood on the balcony and watched Barcelona disappear. Ian asked, "Do you ever regret it?" She slipped her hand into his. Not for a single second. The wedding that wasn't supposed to happen. Nima turned 18. She applied to university in London, got accepted, and asked one thing. "Grandma, will you come to my graduation? Just one day on land. Please." Lorraine thought about it for a week. Then she did something nobody expected. She booked a flight, not to stay, just to be there. She landed at Heathrow wearing the same aqua dress from the 80th birthday that still fit perfectly. Ian carried the hat box with Tom's captain's hat because someone has to keep traditions. Emma's graduation ceremony was in the Royal Festival Hall. Lorraine sat in the front row between Ian and a very confused Melissa who hadn't been warned. When Emma's name was called, she walked across the stage, took her diploma with one hand, and with the other pointed straight at Lorraine and shouted into the microphone, "This degree is paid for by the strongest woman I've ever known, my grandmother, Captain Lorraine Harper." The hall erupted. Lorraine stood up and saluted with 2 fingers the way sailors do. That night Emma hosted a party on a Thames riverboat. Only the people who had earned seats were invited. Melissa begged at the gangway and was gently turned away by security Emma herself had hired. The final voyage Lorraine was 90. Her body finally started asking for smaller portions of adventure. The ship's doctor put her on a scooter for long distances. Ian's knees gave out completely. He got a matching one. They terrorized the Lido deck like Thelma and Louise with oxygen tanks and unlimited drink packages. One night in the Greek islands, under a sky so clear you could see the Milky Way spilled like cream, Lorraine took Ian's hand. "I think this is my last segment, love," he nodded. He had known for months. They finished the cruise in Venice. The ship docked for the final time for them. The entire crew lined the gangway in dress whites. Passengers from 5 continents stood on every deck holding signs. "Thank you, Captain. Lorraine Fairwindsey taught us how to live." Emma was there, 21 now, studying marine biology because of all those nights counting stars on the balcony. She pushed Lorraine's wheelchair down the gangway, while Ian held the hat box. They had bought a tiny white villa on Santorini, with cash from the Asheville condo sale. The house had 1 bedroom, 1 cat named Diego after the Aruba dancer, and a terrace that looked straight into the caldera. A single card arrived in Charlotte, postmarked OI, Santorini. I sailed 1,487 days, visited 112 countries, collected 9 tattoos, 7 godchildren, and 1 love that started at 81. I forgave you a long time ago. I just never came back. If you ever want to find me, take the ferry from Athenios port. I'll be the old woman in the red captain's hat feeding the cat on the blue chair. Bring your own coffee. I'm done paying. Love forever. Captain Lorraine, who finally dropped anchor on her own terms, she died 3 years later, at 93, on the terrace at sunset with Ian holding one hand and Emma the other. The cat slept on her lap. The Aegean was the exact color of the dress she wore the day they tried to buy her love. For $50, they scattered her ashes at sea from the same spot, whose coordinates were tattooed on her wrist, right next to Tom's. The cruise never came back. But Lorraine, she never really left the water, she just changed oceans.